Marhaba. We are going to jump right in. We are continuing on with Unit 3. This is Part 2. And if you have your books, we are going to be starting on page 54. But before we start, I wanted to do a little bit of a review. So we covered 3 letters in the last session. And what were those letters? Jim, ha, and kha. Jim, remember we said was a jug. Ha is hollow, right? The ha sound in your throat. And the kh is ugh. It's angry because it has to carry something. So jim, ha, and kha. I'm going to say a word. I want you to write it down and practice, and let's see how much you remember. Okay? So let's do yahtaj. 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 So as you're listening during these dictation drills and the dictation drills that you do for homework, really listen to the sounds. We said you're listening to the sound and you're listening to what vowel sound is coming with that letter. So when we hear yahtaj, I'll do it letter by letter. We hear the letter ya, and do you hear a short or a long vowel? So remember, we only have 3 long vowels, alif, waw, and ya. And we only have 3 short vowels, fatha, which is a, dhamma, u, kasra, i. So out of all 6 of these, do we hear one of these long ones or one of the short ones? Yahtaj, yahtaj. Is it ya or is it ya? Which one is it? Good, it's short. So that means it's got the fatha because it's making the a sound, yah. Yah. That's the letter ha. Yah. Ta. What makes the ah sound is that alif. J. End it with the jim. So when we write this, we can do a couple of ways. You could start it by putting the ya on the line, and then you put your ha right next to it, and then your ta is medial position, your alif, and your jim here. Or because you have this ha in medial position, we can, if this is our line, we can raise the ya a little bit so that it's above and it gives us space to write the ha here. And then our ta and our jim. Yahtaj. Okay. Okay, let's do another one. Jubab. Jubab. Ju-ba-b. Jubab. We hear a jim, and you hear ju. What makes the u sound is a dhamma. Okay, ju. Jubab. Ba. Not ba, but ba. Short. And then followed by another ba. Jim, initial. Ba, medial. Ba, final. Jubab. Okay. Another thing that might help with long and short vowels, because I know sometimes, students struggle with that in the beginning, is think of long vowels as stressors. They create stress in a word. Now in English, we don't have long vowels that create stress. We just have pronunciation differences between the syllables. And that stress in the word changes the meaning. So for instance, I'll give you a word. So if I was to say he's a, how would you pronounce this? He's a reject. The stress is on the first syllable, reject. But if I want to say the verb to reject, I'm stressing on the second syllable. A reject versus reject, right? The stress that you're putting on the syllable in English varies from word to word, but in Arabic, it's very simple. The stress is created by the long vowel. And what the stress essentially does is it's which part of the word is longer, which syllable is giving more emphasis. So if we look at this first word that we did, يحتاج, we have two parts of this word. We have the first part, yah, and the second part, taj. And when you pronounce this, يحتاج, the second syllable has stress because you're pronouncing it longer than you are the first syllable. And the reason why it has stress is because you have this alif that's in it. So when you're listening to words and you're trying to figure out, okay, where are my long and short vowels? What you might want to do is, as you're listening to the word, think about the words in their syllable parts. And think to yourself, which part of the word is longer than the other? Which part of the word is being stressed more than the other? Okay. So I'll give you an example, for instance. Okay. If I said to you, for instance, let's give you a word. If I said jabat, jabat, you're going to write that down. Pause and write it down. Jabat, you have jim, alif, ja, ba in an initial position with the fatha, ba, short, and a ta, jabat. And in this one, we're stressing the first part of this word right here, right? Put it like this. We're stressing this part of the word because that's longer, jabat. So you think of which part of the word am I stressing or putting more emphasis or more time in pronouncing. And if I changed it, if I said jabat, which is not a word, but if we put a ba here, what would happen here? Jabat. Now the stress would be in the second syllable, right? So what you're looking at is, where is the stress? Here's another example. We can compare these two. Let's compare. I'll write them for you. Okay. And the first one, where is our long vowel? It's in the first syllable. So tha alif, tha, tha alif, tha. Then we have a ba with a kasra, bi, end it with a ta. Thabit, thabit. We're elongating right here where this alif is. So the first part of the word is elongated. Okay, now in this one we have tha with a fatha, so it's short. Tha, and ba is followed here with the alif. Thabat, ending with the ta. So here's your first syllable, but you're stressing the second syllable because it has the alif. It's longer. Thabat, thabit, thabat. So think about, where is the long vowel in the word? That's really what's going to help you in figuring out where to write your long vowel versus your short vowel and how to tell the difference between the two. Okay, so now that we have that down, we're going to move on. We're on page 54 in the book, and we are going to be covering a new mark today, and that mark is Sukuun. Sukuun. You can write it like this, or if you want to write it like this, or with two O's, however you want to transliterate it. Sukuun. And now the sukoon is not a haraka. So when we talked about haraka, let me just move this. When we talked about harakat are your short vowels and they create movement. Sukoon does the opposite of that. Sukoon means to stop. It means to be at rest, okay, or to be at peace. And it's a pronunciation marker that indicates the absence of a vowel. It indicates the pausing on that letter or silencing, okay? So when you see sukoon, think of it as a stop sign, okay? It's going to stop on the sound of the letter upon which it sits. Okay? So I'll give you an example. The first word that I gave you guys 2 slides ago, we said was yahtaj. We're pronouncing the ya here with a fatha. And then what is happening on this letter ha? Are we pronouncing the letter ha with a vowel sound? Are we saying ya ha, hu, hi, ha, hu, hi? We're not. What we're doing is we're stopping on the letter ha and stopping on that sound of that H. Yah. That is represented by writing a sukun. Yahtaj. So sukun stops on the sound of the letter it sits on. Okay. Stops on the sound of the letter it sits on. And what it also does, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes it ends the syllable. It shows you where the end of that syllable is. So here is the first syllable, right? Yah. That's the first syllable, and then you have the second syllable here. And it's not always going to indicate the end of the syllable. We're going to look at examples in just a few minutes with the sukun. But it can help, okay? It can be used as a marker that can help you with that. So let me give you another word, and you're going to write down where you think the sukun goes, okay? Bakhti. Bakhti. Pause and write it. Bakhti. We start here with the ba. And the ba here is an initial position with the fatha. And there's a kha after it. So I'm going to write that ba a little bit above the line like this. You put the dot right here, right below. And that gives us room to write the kha on the line. Bakhti. What's happening on the kha here? Bakh. We're not saying bakh, kha, khu, khi. We're just ending right there on the sound. That is the sukun. So we're going to symbolize it by putting a sukun there. Bakh, ta followed by ya, bakhti. Ma ma'ana bakhti? What does bakhti mean? You should know this. What is bakht? Bakht by itself means luck. And what happens when you put the letter ya on the end of a noun? Good. My luck. Okay, let's do another one. Taht. Taht. Okay. Taht. Or if you want to pronounce it with the fatha on the end, we could say tahta. Might make it easier. We have ta with the fatha. Tah. And we have the letter ha, and we're stopping on it. Tah. T. And then we end with the ta. Now, you could pronounce it taht like this. Taht. You're literally gliding over the ha. You're stopping the sound, and then you're pronouncing it with the ta at the end. Or you could pronounce it with the fatha. If it had a fatha on it, we would say tahta. Tahta. Vocab word, and this means under. Okay, let's do another one. Tubti. 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 To, short dhamma. To, because it's not tu, it's to. Tub. What's happening on the ba? Good, we're stopping there. Tub. T. We're not saying tub ti. You're not overemphasizing or stressing that sa. You're just doing a short t at the end. Tub ti. Notice how both of those syllables, tub ti, same amount of stress in both of those syllables because they're both short. Okay, so that is the sukun. We're going to stop on the sound. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and look at two letters, the waw and the ya. And remember, when we learned the waw and the ya in Unit 2, what did we say about the two of them? They're similar in that they both have what? They both have two sounds. They have long vowel sounds, and they have consonant sounds, meaning their own sound. So let's focus on one at a time. We'll start with the letter waw. Okay. The letter waw makes what two sounds? Good. Makes the wa sound and the oo sound, or if you want to write it like this. So it makes these two sounds. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on the letter wow as it's making its consonant sound wa, the W sound. And we're looking now at page 55. So I'm going to give you a couple of words, and you're going to write them down, just practicing the wow as a consonant. Okay, let's start with a couple of words. We'll add this to our vocab list. Wajib. You're going to pause the video. Wajib. Here we're starting with wow. So here's our line right here. Wajib. We're starting with the wow as the W sound. Wa. What makes the ah sound? Alif. So we're going to follow the wow with an alif. Remember, wow is ride or die. It does not connect. It's one of those letters, doesn't take any new friends. It's not going to connect to the next letter. So alif is not going to connect. Alif is the same thing. It's not going to connect to the next letter. Wajib. J. Jim, initial position. What vowel is on it? Wajib. I. It's a short sound. Kasra. And then end it with a ba. Wajib. So if you transliterated it and you wrote it like this, you have wow, alif, jim, kasra, and the ba. Wajib. Wajib means homework. And every time we have a session, we always have wajib. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do jawab. Jawab. Jim. Ja. What sound is it making? If you were to transliterate it, you say ja. Wa. B. So what makes the sound? Fatha. Now we have a wow in the middle of the word making the W sound. Jawa, wa. That's a wow. Jawa. What makes the sound? Alif. And end it with the ba. Jawab means answer. Okay. So notice in this, both of these are examples in which the wow is a consonant and it's being followed by a long vowel. Okay. So remember when we did the consonant chart, we said wow, alif, wa, wow, woo, wow, ya, we, right? So wow, when it's functioning as a consonant, it can be followed by a long vowel. Okay. Let's do another one. Khawi. 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 We start with what letter? Good. We start with the letter kha. We follow it by an alif. Kha. We. Now we have wow. It's functioning as a long vowel, and it has a consonant, and it's followed by the long vowel. Ya. Khawi. Okay, meaning empty. Out of these words, this one will be on the vocab list. Okay, so now that we've covered wow and practiced it a little bit as its consonant sound, we want to make what is called a diphthong sound. It's a double sound where you have two different marks that come together to create a sound. And that combination is this. When you have a letter that has a fatha, and that letter is followed by a wow with a sukoon, in which this wow is functioning as the consonant sound W. When you have this combination, the sound that you're going to get is the fatha sound stopping on the W sound. Oh. Oh. You could write it like this. Oh. Some people write it like this. Oh. Don't focus so much on the transliteration. Focus on hearing the sound and recognizing the sound. Oh. 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 Okay. So I'll give you some examples. Oops. If I had the letter ba and it's followed by a wow, normally how would I pronounce it? Boo. If I have the same letters, and this time I want to put a fatha on the ba and stop on the W sound, stop on the wow. Now it is bow, like a bow. Okay. So in this case, the wow is a long vowel. And when it has a sukoon, it's functioning as a consonant. So let's do the same thing. If I had the letter th followed by wow, how would you pronounce it? Thu. And if I take the same thing and I put a fatha and a sukoon, now it is tho. Thu. Tho. So now what you can do is you can look at all of the consonant sounds that you have, and you can make a chart for each and every letter. So let's say we look at the letter ba. We write the letter ba, and we say, okay, with a long vowel, it is ba, bu, bi. With short vowels, ba, bu, bi. And now with our diphthong sound here, bow. And there's going to be one more, which we'll come to in a second. So now let me give you some words, and you try to figure out how you would write them. Thobe. 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 We have the letter th, and you have the O sound. Thobe. O. So how do you create that O sound? That O sound would create it by putting a fatha and following it with a waw sukun. So we put tha fatha, waw sukun, tho, b, and then end it with a ba. Thobe. Thobe is a long dress. Vocab word. Thobe. Let's do another one. Chouch. Chouch. Ch. And then we have the O sound. Chou. Chou. So same thing. Fatha. Waw sukun. Waw doesn't connect to the next letter. Chouch. End it with another ch. Chouch means peach. Another vocab word. In some dialects, chouch is how they pronounce it. But the Fusha, the modern standard Arabic pronunciation, chouch, making the O sound. Let's do another one. Tawbih. 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 You have ta, and where the ta is making the O sound. So we have ta, fatha and sukun on the waw. Taw. Bi, ba followed by a ya. Bih, followed by a kha. Tawbih. Not a vocab word. Comes from the word to criticize, but it won't be on the vocab list. So this is the first combined sound that we have. The second one that we want to do now is with the letter ya. And the ya, same thing as the waw, makes a consonant sound, the Y sound, the ya, and it makes the E sound. So we want to focus on the consonant sound. Okay? So I'm going to give you some words just to practice this as a consonant sound. Yajib. Ya-jib. Yajib. Ya fatha, it's short. Ya. Jim, j. Kasra, I. B. Yajib. You can write it like this. You can write it like this. Yajib. Thiyab. Thiyab. Tha has a kasra. Thi. We're not saying thiyab. We're just saying thi. Thiyab. Now we have the Y sound. So you have thi. Then you have the Y sound here. Thiyab. So we're going to put ya medial position followed by an alif. So in this case, the ya is being elongated by the alif and end it with the ba. Thiyab, which are clothes. Okay. So now that we have some practice with the ya, let's look at what the ya sound can make. So the rule is very similar to the waw. If you have a fatha and it's followed by a letter ya with a sukun, meaning the letter ya consonant, the Y sound with the sukun. You're going to get the fatha sound a, and we're going to stop on the Y sound, a. A. So anytime you hear a, that is always a fatha followed by a ya with the sukun. Okay? A. So now let's look at some examples. If I have ba followed by ya, what sound does that normally make? B. And if I change that now to a ba followed by a ya, but now it's a fatha and a sukun, now we're taking the ba sound and stopping on the Y sound. Now it's bay. Okay. If I have jim followed by ya, G. If I put it with a ya and a sukun, J. Okay. So now what we can do is that chart that I showed you, you can have, now the last one, ba with a ya, bay. So the sounds that you can get now with your consonant are 8 total sounds. Ba, the a sound, the u sound, bu, b, ba, bu, b, bo, bay. These are the 8 total sounds you can create with every single consonant now. Now we have all of our short vowels, all of our long vowels, and our combined sounds. And these 8 sounds you can create with every single consonant. So let's create the same exact chart with the letter jim. We can create it. I'll put the short vowels here on top. Ja, ju, ji. Ja, ju, ji. Now if I do my combined sounds, if I have jim, fatha, and a waw sukun, how would I pronounce that? Jo. And jo, you can put a side note for yourself. Jo means weather. And if I put it with a ya here, J. So here are the 6 sounds, sorry, the 8 sounds that you can create. Okay. So you can pause the video and take notes. Let's practice some words now. Bait. 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 You have a ba, and you have the a sound. So we're going to put a fatha on it and follow it with a ya. We can't write the ya like this because it's not the last letter of the word. There's bait, there's a t sound. So ya has to be in medial position here with the sukun, and then we follow it with our ta. Okay. Bait, vocab word, means house. House. So how would I say my house? What would I add to the end? Very good. You add a ya. So we would take the word like this. Bait, open the ta, and then add a ya to the end. Baiti. Now it's my house. Okay. Let's do another one. Jabe. 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 Good. You have the jim with the a sound. So fatha, ya with the sukun, and end it with the ba. Jabe means pocket. How would I say my pocket? Same word. Jabe, open the ba so that you can connect a ya. Jabe, my pocket. Good. I'll give you one more vocab word just because we've done the word house. The plural for house, buyut. Bu, yut, buyut. Ba, dhamma, bu, you. The Y sound is a ya, followed by a wow. You, making the oo sound. Doesn't connect, end it with the ta. Buyut, meaning houses. How would I say my houses? Buyuti, my houses. Buyuti. You're just opening the ta so that you can attach the ya to the end. Buyuti. Okay. So now we have our two sounds that we did in this video. If you have a fatha followed by a waw with the sukun, aw. If you have a fatha followed by a ya with a sukun, a. And if you just have a sukun on a letter, what does that signify? It signifies a stop sign. You stop on the sound of that letter. Okay. Now, if you look at drill 9, you have some practice reading that you can do. On page 58, you're going to practice reading those on your own, and then you can go to Smart Sparrow and you can click each one and listen to how the word is pronounced to see if you pronounced it correctly. So practice reading it first, each one separately. So read number 1, then listen to number 1 and see if you got it correct. Read number 2, listen to number 2. And then you'll see what are the next assignments that we have due after this video.